Hello and welcome to Show of the Week with Outside Xbox. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike, and this week I've been working on a video I like to call Every Car That Has Appeared in a Video Game Ever in Chronological Order. Roll VT.
Actually, I had to take that out, sorry.
What? Why?
For a start, it took up, 8,000% of our running time.
It's like living in Nazi Germany here.
Is it, though?
Because, Mike, Wolfenstein The New Order gives us a pretty good idea of what life would be like if Hitler and his dastardly cronies had won World War II and Nazism had spread across the globe. In this alternate vision of the 60s, there are Nazis in the White House, Manhattan has been nuked to a cinder, and in local news, Nazi Beatles. Preferred the Nazi Velvet Underground, myself, less mainstream.
Nazi scum!
As BJ Blazkowicz, an American secret agent of Polish extraction, it's your job to single-handedly, and occasionally dual-handedly, topple the oppressive regime, basically by filling that regime with as many bullets as possible. You'll be going toe-to-toe with a fully mechanised Nazi army that includes mech-like walkers, robotic quadrupeds and at least one metal Alsatian. And there's no shortage of scenery-chewing Nazis to provide motivation to complete your mission. Wilhelm Death's Head Strasse is your classic deranged Nazi doctor, in this case performing gross experiments to create horrific cyborg soldiers, and as per usual, taking just a little too much pleasure in his work.
With you I could do great things.
He's voiced by Dwight Schultz, aka Howling Mad Murdoch from the original A-Team, if you can believe it.
Ich bin mir sicher, dass Sie diesen Test.
Frau Engel, meanwhile, is in charge of the League of German Girls and cruelly toys with you in a particularly tense scene on a train carriage.
Haben Sie das verstanden?
That laugh.
Das ist nur ein Test!
The pair's ultimate fate might be up to you rather than the scriptwriters too. In a recent Reddit AMA, creative director Jens Mathias claimed that a single decision early in the game will alter the rest of the game's tone and ultimately the ending. He reckons you'll want to play the relatively generous 20-hour campaign again once you're done to find out how the other version of the story goes, which is encouraging given that there's no multiplayer mode to stop you trading the thing in after the first weekend. Still, if you're longing for a really substantial single-player first-person shooter campaign, Wolfenstein The New Order might well be it. It's got satisfyingly messy weaponry, some great set pieces, and an interesting alternate universe full of robo-Nazis to wreck up. The game's out on May 20th on both Xbox One and Xbox 360, and until then we're going to spend a bit of time appreciating the real Beatles. Ein schwieriger Tag der Nacht just doesn't have the same ring to it.
So it turns out having the regular Beatles instead of the Nazi Beatles is just one of the many ways history turned out for the better. The problem with all these alternate histories of World War II is that my knowledge of the actual history of World War II is based entirely on video games.
Is that not accurate then?
No, Jane, it turns out it isn't. In fact, World War II video games like these are just about the worst history lesson you could get. Look.
Keine Gefangennahme, nur kleine Imbisse!
For starters, the Nazis didn't actually have dinosaurs fighting on their side, despite what PC shooter Dino D-Day reckons. Gasp you might. According to PC shooter Dino D-Day, Hitler's scientists succeeded in resurrecting dinosaurs predating Jurassic Park dino cloning technology by some 50 years.
Dem Tyrannosaurus Rex!
The Nazis' resurrected dinosaurs were pressed into service for the Axis war effort. They even weaponised the gentle herbivorous Desmatosuchus by mounting a 20mm cannon on his back, the poor thing. I mean, it's a disgrace. Or it would be, if it had ever happened. Which it didn't. The US did experiment with strapping bombs to bats and pigeon-guided missiles without success, and Soviet forces did turn dogs into unwitting anti-tank bombs. But that's about it.
Die, allied Schweinhund!
Another history lesson for you, in 1945 when Adolf Hitler realised the war was lost, he shot himself in his bunker in Berlin. What he didn't do was climb into a robotic battlesuit and stomp around firing miniguns at his enemies, as Wolfenstein 3D would have you believe. He didn't even have a robotic battlesuit, according to all respected historical authorities.
Bitte then.
Although it's a popular and lurid subject for speculation, no one has ever successfully drawn a link between Nazis and occultism. And what, it's like they weren't nasty enough already? They have to be weirdo occultists too.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein immediately. Notify Herr Himmler. We found him.
Anyway, it is unlikely the SS had an entire paranormal division, or that they were working tirelessly to resurrect Heinrich I, a legendary and powerful Saxon warlock king, like Return to Castle Wolfenstein told me.
You fool! You know as well as I that I cannot be destroyed. Only 1 day is left. Only 1 day.
Wir sehen uns in Valhalla.
Alright, Iron Sky Invasion, I'm a trusting guy, so when a video game tells me that Nazis fled to a secret base on the dark side of the moon at the end of World War II and are now planning to invade Earth with Fourth Reich spaceships, I'm inclined to believe it.
Today we all steal. Animals we are.
More fool me, because it turns out that's all made up as well. When you can't trust the spin-off game of a daft Finnish science fiction movie, who can you trust? I ask you. There are two historical schools of thought on Nazi zombies. One is all credible historians who say, get out of my office, how did you get past my secretary? The other is video games. Brace yourself, history fans. There were and are no Nazi zombies, although given how ubiquitous both Nazis and zombies are as video game enemies, the biggest surprise would be if games hadn't mashed the two together into the world's most obvious cannon fodder. It's a no-brainer. Get it? Never mind. Video games are far from the sole repository of Nazi zombies though. The earliest Nazi zombies ever committed to the screen were probably those of horror movie Revenge of the Zombies, which was made in 1943, during the Second World War, if you can believe it. And then people wonder why I failed my history exams.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mike, those were all supposed to be fictional stories.
Well, they should put that on the box then.
Sure. Now it's time to see what you've been saying in the comments and leaving in foam designs on my orange mocha frappuccino. Mike, that's obscene.
It started off as a flower, but it kind of drifted as I was carrying it back.
Sure. First up, your comments on the video game moments that broke reality in mind-blowing ways.
Scarecrow gets off on exploiting people's greatest fears, and what do gamers fear most of all? That's right, the game crashing when you haven't saved.
Pizza Boy 609 is a fan. He says, maybe this is just me, but I love it when video games break reality in this way. It makes me feel involved.
And more of you had suggestions of your own. Tom Page says, when Andy came to make this video, he forgot to include the Stanley Parable. This was rather foolish of Andy, rather remiss. He didn't want to be thought inadequate. This had always been a fear of Andy's, so he edited the video again to include the Stanley Parable.
No, I didn't. While Tom Bailey offers, how about Deadpool's actual game? That's full of fourth wall breaks.
Damn it, I asked for Steadicam.
Quiet, Deadpool. Finally, Philip Miller thinks that Eternal Darkness and Kid Icarus Uprising deserve a place here as well.
Not now, Eternal Darkness. Next up this week, your comments on our video about what we don't want from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. What did I say?
It's 2014, so the Call of Duty franchise has decided to take a break. Psych! Actually, there's a new game on the way called Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Azorio sends this bizarre message saying, I'd be happy if they skipped the commando part, aka 10-meter jump kicking.
What?
Right?
Baffling. Meanwhile, Deposaurus says, number one thing I don't want from recycled is struck through, Advanced Warfare, call for money is struck through, of duty, Advanced Warfare.
What?
Who knows? Big uptake on the dinosaur mode suggestion though, with ANSI Sold 13R says, dinosaurs, that's kind of a great idea. While Gage the Pyro says, I support dinosaurs mode. Maybe your PMC gets called in to wipe out Jurassic Park after a few pterodactyls make it off the island. Maybe Dr. Malcolm can guide your group through the island and talk about chaos theory. I mean, they've got Kevin Spacey, why not Jeff Goldblum?
Game of the year. Lastly, the Red Gamer says, we want Dino Mode. We should spam their Twitter, #Dino Mode.
Of course, we don't condone spamming anyone's Twitter.
Lastly, your comments on last week's show of the week about the craziest COD military technology that's actually real-ish.
Listen to their protestations though, and they'll tell you that actually remote-controlled dogs do exist, using mounted cameras to see, vibrating collars to steer them, and little earpieces to issue commands.
Joseph Rain asks, what about that crazy sound cannon that can explode your head without you knowing?
Without you knowing?
Yeah.
I think I'd know if someone exploded my head.
All right, show off. J. Paul, meanwhile, says, I'm not saying I don't like Andy, but Jane, instead of throwing stuff, shoot him with a taser or a nail gun. I would recommend the taser if you still want him to live.
Nail gun.
Ooh, don't forget taser.
I'll just remember that one.
Okay. One of many Derricks lastly says, Jesus tap dancing Christ. Troy Baker is everywhere. Not that I'm complaining.
He is everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, he was banging around the bins earlier.
Oh, I'll put some voice actor traps down later.
All right, good luck. See you in a bit.
Oh, he's in
That's it for this week's show, but don't forget, if you liked it, to press the like button. If you disliked it, the dislike button's actually broken right now, so just hit the like button and YouTube will know what you meant.
Also, say hello on Twitter at outsidexbox or on Facebook at facebook.com/outsidexbox. See you next time.
All right, good work. I'll catch you later. Jane wanted to show me her new nail gun.
All right, have fun.
Ah, nails!